Hello, and welcome to day one of the Master Your Life 5-Day Challenge. I am your host, Missy Rogers. I'd like to begin this by giving you a little background information about me. A lot of you know me, but a lot of you don't. So for those of you that don't know me, I have a background in psychology. I have a bachelor's degree in human development and a master's degree in psychology. I also ran a semi-successful life coaching business for a few years. I have a background also in economics and theology, and I'm a minister as well and a musician, as a lot of you know. I'm a published writer, a business consultant. I've done fitness coaching as well, and wellness coaching. And one thing I've noticed from my educational background and life in general is that regardless of what walk of life we're on, what level of economics we have, regardless of differences in races and creeds and religions, we all share one common thread, and that is that we're human. And as humans, we all have issues and struggles and obstacles. Even on the outskirt, when it seems as though someone is living their best life, there is always something. Whether it's how they look, their diet, they want to lose weight, they want to change their appearance, brand themselves differently, they're having issues with their romantic life or their social life or their family life or their jobs, or just balancing everything and struggling to balance all the facets of the diamond all at once without really knowing how to allocate the proper time to everything in order to be relaxed and enjoy it, actually. I also notice as a life coach how many people are in therapy and how many people that I know, family, friends, acquaintances, have actually been in therapy for years. And while there are no quick fixes to really anything, a lot of people think that there's this magic pill that when they go to a therapist for the first time, they'll get and everything will be fixed. It's a process. Traditional therapy takes years. It's extensive with time and expensive with money. And a lot of the times, I know people that have been in therapy for like 10 years and they're pretty much at the same point that they were when they started, and most people, 76% of all Americans, in fact, have been or are on psychotropic medications, which is what we call antidepressants, anti-anxiety pills, sleep pills, such as Prozac, Wellbutrin, Paxil, Zoloft, Effexor, Trazodone, Lexapro, Xanax, Ativan, Lunesta, Diazepam, Ambien, you name it. There's so many on the market right now. Now, most, if all, not all medications have severe side effects. You learn, if you have a degree in, degrees or a background in psychology and stuff, and therapy, counseling, psychoanalysis, psychiatry, psychology, you learn that these pills weren't designed for long-term treatment plans. They were designed for short-term treatment plans for up to a year. And they all carry side effects. What you see in the patient's pamphlet is like nothing compared to what you see in the physician's pamphlet and list of side effects in like the handbook and everything. It's most of them have unexplained death as one of the major side effects. That's not to say that if you're schizophrenic or you're hurting yourself or you're harming yourself or you're harming others, and you're a danger to yourself and others, that you shouldn't utilize these treatments. But there are more effective long-term treatments for those of us that are just depressed or suffer from bipolar or ADHD and, stuff like that, basic characteristics, that all humans actually share. There's something called the Big Five trait theory, which basically explains that as human beings, we all have the same innate characteristics as far as emotions such as jealousy and anger and, sadness and happiness. And it's just to what extent that we exhibit these human qualities and characteristics that define us as being mentally unstable or mentally unhealthy. And that in and of itself is societal. It's based on society's standards, on societal norms. So in one society, it may be deemed appropriate, to have, for women to have their, hair shaven off and to go around topless. And if you have long hair and you're not topless, you're considered abnormal and mentally unhealthy and crazy and labeled as such. Whereas if you were to come to another society with your hair shaven as a woman and topless, you might be locked up in an institution for public display, and being inappropriate and, not fitting into the societal norms, and be deemed crazy and mentally unstable. So, there's traditional therapy also puts an emphasis on the negative. It usually brings you back to your childhood issues, to your mommy and daddy issues. Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, put an emphasis on the psychosexual aspect of everything. And he thought it all stemmed back to mommy and daddy, i.e. mommy and daddy issues, but in a negative connotation. Like sexual things and sexual desires and stuff aren't really even sexual as far as I'm concerned when you're a child and you don't even know what sex it is. And it's not, sexuality and sex in and of itself is not a negative thing. It can be and should be a very positive thing. Love, procreation, families, so basically, I had a friend that was on Prozac for a good 20 years. I mean, she was put on this at the age of 17 to the age of 37. And she wanted to get off of it because she didn't know how she was or who she was off of it. She literally went through puberty on this medication, this psychotropic medication. And she went to her therapist and she asked to be taken off of this, medication, Prozac, and that it didn't seem to be helping her. And her therapist was like, oh, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take 6 months to a year to get off of your dosage. I don't recommend it. In fact, I think you should take this pill along with it. So instead of her being encouraged to better herself and to have a better overall quality of life by her therapist, she was actually deterred, from, and discouraged, completely discouraged from getting off of what she wanted to get off of and to better her life. The fact of the matter is there are no quick fixes to anything. Everything takes time and dedication and effort. And above all else, it takes belief in yourself. You have to believe in yourself and believe that things are possible in order for them to actually transpire and happen in reality. And positive energy is essential. So, I rarely see people I've rarely ever seen this. People leave their therapist's office like happier than when they walked in. Like I've never really seen that. Not to say that I haven't seen it, actually. I've seen it a few times, but mostly I see people leaving rather dejected, leaving their therapist's office rather dejected, feeling like you can almost see the gray cloud over them. Oftentimes I've seen, patients and clients leave their therapist's and counselor's office and psychologist's office like crying and, obviously depressed. Marked difference from when they walk in. I used to have this friend who would call me every time he would come home from his therapist's office every week. He would go to he would have a therapy session once a week, as many of us are familiar with. And he would call me when he got home and would bitch and complain to me for hours. We'll call him John, okay, for just for an anonymity. And basically John would like go through every aspect of his therapy session, everything they spoke about. It was like I might as well have been there. And he was so depressed, and he would talk about things that happened when he was like 5 years old and 12 years old and 17 years old, and like John was like 50 years old. And on the outskirts of things, he seemed like a very well balanced, functioning person. He was well groomed, well kept. He had a great job. You know, he was making over $400,000 a year. He was married to a great woman. He had 2 beautiful children. You know, he seemed fine. Once he started going to therapy, though, he would be manically depressed and depressing to be around for at least, you know, 1 to 2 days every week. So I suggested to John, I said to him, I was like, you know, maybe you should join a course, you know, like a positive course or a class like yoga, meditation, dancing, something that makes you happy, and do that like once a week instead of the therapy, and see, you know, if that's effective. If not, maybe you should change your therapist. And I'll never forget what John said. John was like, his instant reply was like, no, I can't leave my therapist. I've been going to her for 6 years. She knows me. She's helping me. And he got all panicked, and I was like, wow, like this is a really interesting system where they keep you boxed in this negative framework of constantly reliving and talking about your negative experiences in life that happened, you know, decades ago in childhood, prepubescent kind of stuff, and teenage years kind of stuff, where we all have issues with our parents and, you know, socializing and going through puberty and everything, and growing up and becoming an adult. We all suffer from these same similar issues, regardless of who our parents were or how we've been reared. So, you know, I started to realize that there really is this focus on the negative. I remember the first time that I went to go see a therapist. I was in my 20s, and somehow through this 1-hour therapy session, it got brought up when my parents got divorced when I was 2 years old. And I remembered something, I think with my mother, I don't even remember now, when I was like 2 years old, that made me cry. And I had forgotten about it. I was crying in my therapist's office, and she was like, "Do you need Xanax?" You know, and I was like, "I don't think so. Let's wait a little bit." It's my first session with her, and I walked out feeling rather depressed. I was definitely more depressed than when I walked in, and like for a month, I was totally fixated and like losing sleep and not eating and being manically depressed over something that happened to me when I was 2 years old. You know, so this is not, you know, there's like this underlying negativity in traditional therapy where they try to deal with like the symptoms as opposed to the cause, which is a typical, you know, Western medical way of dealing with things, and put such a focus on the negative instead of the positive. So we're not trying to do that here. You know, basically what we're trying to do here is focus on the positive. I'm more concerned in hearing your best experiences in life, your best childhood memories, and your happiest experiences in life, than probing and prodding and focusing on all the negative things that you've experienced from the time you were born and you first formed memories. You know, one of the most important things that I've learned from my educational background and in life in general thus far is that like energy begets like energy. Let me say that again. Like energy begets like energy. In other words, if you constantly are thinking of negative things, you are naturally creating more negativity. Everything in life is energy. Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, they all, you know, the most brightest minds that we've ever had on this plane, on this, you know, earthly plane, have all said and been quoted that everything is energy. From a rock, human beings, to the air, to trees. Everything is energy. And if you feed energy, positive energy to something, you will get more positive energy. If you feed negative energy to something, you will get more negative energy. Essentially feeding that energy. Whereas like if you're constantly focused on the positive, you create and essentially produce more positivity. We see it, more people are waking up to this every single day. We see it with like, manifestation, and manifest your best life, manifest your dreams, your desires. We see it on podcasts more than ever. There's so many books out there, from Napoleon Hill to, there's just so many. It's all these memes, from the Secret Book and everything, self-actualization. If you are depressed, generally speaking, you're probably living in the past. Whereas if you're anxious, you're probably living in the future. And if you're at peace and happy, you're probably living in the present. That's an ancient proverb from Lao Tzu, but there's a lot of truth in it. Traditional therapy is costly, time-consuming, and sometimes just keeps you at the same point. We're here to pass all of that by and to learn quick, effective approaches and proven techniques to obtain a better overall quality of life. So the Master Your Life is a 5-day challenge where I will help you pinpoint and identify your obstacles and struggles in this life, which sometimes in therapy can take like 5 or 10 years just to do that. And I'm not interested in the struggles and the obstacles in your life when you were like 5 years old, or 12 years old, or 17. I want to concentrate and focus on your struggles, your obstacles that are holding you back from achieving the happiness that you want and that you need and that you desire and that you deserve currently, in your current moment of life. So that's what this is about. I challenge you to help me help you help yourself. And we're going to do like homework on this. Like for the first day, very simple assignment. I would like you guys to take a pen and a paper before you go to bed. Whenever you have the time, it takes literally 5 minutes, if not less. And just write 5 things that are bothering you in your current life that you'd like to change and make better. 5 things: struggles, obstacles, desires, whether it's your romantic life, your career, your fitness, your physical appearance, or anything. It could be simple, it could be complicated, but just write it down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just write it out, 5 of those. And then on the next page, on the back of the page, I want you to put 10 good things in your life that you're grateful for currently that are happening, whether it's your career, your love life, your children, and make a list of 10 of those. And then we'll get back to day 2. Thank you for joining. And I hope you guys, if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, I can't do everyone. I'm only one person. So I can't give one-on-one coaching on the telephone like I normally would with my life coaching business within 5 days to all of you. But I can to some of you. Normally I charge about $100 an hour for an hour session, and it's usually once a week. But for the 5-day challenge, to those of you that really want to talk to me one-on-one and want to speak to me and, actually have an individualized personal session with me, I'm offering it during the course of the 5 days. You can have an allotment of 1 hour phone time with me for only $19.99. It's a steal. It's like I'm giving you like $500 worth of therapy and my life's work for literally, basically $2 a day or $4 a day. At any time, it's fine. I'll be available, and this is going to be fun. we're going to create more positivity in each one of our lives, and it's going to be an amazing experience. And I'm really happy that you guys, and glad that you're joining me. Namaste, peace, and God bless you.